Hello and welcome to another Wednesday live stream. Let me start again. Hello and welcome to another Wednesday live stream where the aim is to help you improve your English. Now, if this is the first time you're watching, my name's Craig and I'm from the website mansioningles.com where you can study English for free. And we also have a podcast every week, every Sunday, and you can listen to that for free, obviously, at inglespodcast.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And with me today, I'm really happy and excited to get back in touch with an old friend, Andrew Walkley from letschoolab.com. Welcome to the stream, Andrew.
Hi there, Craig. Nice to see you again.
Yes, it's been really nice catching up. We had a 5 or 10 minute chat before we went live here. And before we've got some useful expressions that we're going to show you and hopefully get some feedback from you as well. But before that, I want to give a quick introduction because I've known Andrew for quite a few years. And he did live in Valencia for a while, and we actually worked at the same school together a few years ago. But very quickly, Andrew went on to better things very wisely and moved on. And now, where are you actually based at the moment? It's in London. Is it North London, Andrew?
Yeah, I live in North London, yeah.
Which part? Because that's more or less where I'm from.
Basically, Wood Green at the moment.
Okay. And what's it like there? Are you happy in that area?
Yeah, it's nice. It's kind of very multicultural. It's not the poshest or smartest part of London, but it's pretty friendly, pretty very convenient for transport, shops, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Well, I just want to share my screen for a couple of seconds to introduce you to Andrew, because apart from being a very experienced teacher, he's also a materials writer. And for quite a few years, he's been writing course books. And just to give you an idea of Andrew and where his what he's done before, he has written course books at pretty much all the levels. Is that right, Andrew? I mean, you can see here on Amazon, we've got innovations, outcomes, roadmap.
Yeah.
And the list goes on and on. Are you still writing course books?
Well, we've actually that's what I'm doing now, really, at the moment, which is we're doing a 3rd edition of the series Outcomes.
That's this one here. Yeah. Which level are you working on at the moment?
We're doing pre-intermediate and upper intermediate. Okay. So I write with another guy, Hugh, and we basically are writing the 2 levels at the same time, but we swap over every couple of units. So we're both doing a bit of both books.
Fantastic. And also you, together with Hugh, you do have the lexicallab.com. Would it be fair to say it's an online school? Can you give a quick summary of what you and Hugh are doing with Lexical Lab?
Well, with Lexical Lab, mainly we are, at the moment, we run some online classes, speaking classes, essentially. We send out material each week, which we've written, and the students take part in the class, talk about these different tasks, usually a different topic. Most of the topics have been suggested by the students themselves. And then in class, when they're talking, breakout rooms and that kind of thing, we listen to what they're saying, and then we kind of feed in new kind of language, which will help them say that stuff better. It's mainly for kind of B2 and above, basically.
Mm-hmm. B2 and above. And there's a new course for B2 and above, I believe, starting on July the 4th, just under a month, right? Oh, there you are.
That's right, yeah. So it's run by a couple of colleagues of ours, Margot and Lewis.
Margot and Lewis, yeah.
Lewis is actually, he's from London, but his parents were from Galicia.
Oh, wow. Okay. Spain, north of Spain. Okay. Well, we'll come back to this a bit later and let people know at the end how they can sign up for that if they're interested.
Sure.
Just let me say hi to people who are joining us live. Gemma, good to see you. Let me introduce you to Andrew, who's saying hello to you, Andrew. Arturo from Honduras. Nice to see you, Arturo. Camille from Colombia. Fabi from Argentina. Vicente from Valencia. Very close, Vicente. And Isma, hi. And Maxim from Ukraine. Good to see you. Hope you're okay there, Maxim. We're thinking about you guys. So thank you for watching live. If you're watching the replay, thanks for your time. We hope you'll get some useful expressions from today's stream. Now, I'm really pleased to have Andrew on here because, as he touched on very briefly just now, and correct me if I'm wrong, your approach to teaching is more lexical based than grammar based. So that's why we're looking at some expressions today.
Yeah, I mean, the books are slightly different in the sense they've got kind of grammar syllabus, where we've always been more interested in words and phrases as the things which actually kind of drive communication.
As am I. I much prefer to be looking at and working with and teaching lexical chunks and words than pieces of grammar without meaning. So that leads us nicely into 10 pieces of language that we like. So I've asked Andrew to come up with and think of 5 expressions that he kind of likes that we think might be useful for you. And I've got 5 of my own. But to be honest, Andrew, I don't know if I can be bothered really to start.
I see what you did there.
Did you see what I did there? So I can't be bothered. I really don't feel like it. I don't feel in the mood. If you can't be bothered, you're feeling a bit lazy. You don't really want to make the effort. I can't be bothered to wash the car today. It's very hot outside. I can't be bothered to do exercise, which is usually true. Is there anything you can't be bothered to do at the moment, Andrew?
Well, not necessarily at the moment, but there is that kind of classic thing you get at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, thinking about dinner, getting into the kitchen. I'm not sure I can be bothered to cook this evening. Maybe I'll call for a takeout, and go out to have something to eat, or stick something in the microwave.
I can't even be bothered to make a sandwich. I really can't be bothered to prepare anything.
That's definitely lazy.
So, of course, if you can't be bothered, that's really at the moment, that's now. But you just change it to couldn't if you want to speak about the past. So like yesterday, I couldn't be bothered to make dinner, or I couldn't be bothered to study English. I was just too tired. And you can also use bother as a verb. What's bothering you at the moment? What's annoying you, or what's
tricky, isn't it, bother? Because actually the different phrases with bother all mean something slightly different, don't they? Yep. So if you're not, I'm not bothered, it means it sounds okay. Actually, it's like I don't mind, isn't it?
Exactly. Would you like pizza or hamburger? I'm not bothered.
Yeah.
It's up to you. Whatever you want. Yeah.
But can't be bothered always sounds a little bit, I don't know, could sound a little bit rude in some circumstances.
Yeah. True. Yeah. Or as a noun, you could use it as a noun. It saved me the bother of ironing my shirt.
There's a good connection there.
I used to wear this is true, actually. When I worked in an office years ago, I hated ironing. So I used to iron this bit of the shirt and then wear a jacket. Because it saved me. Yes. It saved me the bother of ironing all of the shirt. If I kept my jacket on, it saved me the bother of ironing the whole shirt.
Yeah. I mean, that is definitely something I can't be bothered to do, which is ironing. Generally, I hang my clothes wet, just let them dry, and if they're more or less okay, that's good enough for me.
A tip for you: put them under the mattress and sleep on them, and in the morning they're more or less ready to wear.
I'm not sure my mattress is good enough.
If you can be bothered to lift up the mattress, of course. Now, what can't you be bothered to do? Write some example sentences in the chat. Ask any questions as we're speaking. We'll be happy to answer them. And of course, we'll show your example sentences as we continue. So what can't you be bothered to do? Or what couldn't you be bothered to do yesterday? Right, while we're waiting for people to ask questions, Andrew, or give us examples, let's go to your first expression. It's up to you now.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe you might know this one already. I don't know. It's a very, very common expression. If you don't, like, we're deciding, maybe imagine we're deciding, what do you want to eat later? I don't mind. It's up to you. You choose. You know, where should we go? I'm easy. It's up to you. So it's, I know that some people don't like this expression when I've taught it, because they don't like this passing the kind of decision to somebody else. Always kind of like, why don't you decide for once sometimes? But it is a phrase that I use a lot. You know, it's up to you. You decide. So you can use it as well, maybe if you're talking about somebody else's responsibility. So maybe, you know, if you we're in the office and, you know, there's mess on the table, somebody asks you to kind of tidy it up. You say, that's not my job. It's up to Craig to do that.
I can't be bothered.
There you go. So yeah, and you could use the "I'm not bothered" as well. It often goes with "It's up to you." So, you know, what should we watch on TV? I'm not bothered. It's up to you. You decide.
We've got some questions coming in, but just one that's very relevant. I'll flash this one up from Christine. Hi, Christine. Good to see you here. It's down to you. Would that also be correct? It's your responsibility.
It's, yeah, in the sense of responsibility sometimes, but not in this sense of like saying, you know, it's your decision. Yeah. So if you're kind of going, what do you want to do later? It's up to you. It's down to you. Sounds a bit strange to me.
Yeah, you need to do it. You should do it. It's your responsibility. Yeah. It's down to you.
Yeah, exactly. So it's much more to do with this idea of responsibility. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it might be also the cause of the problem. So, you know, the mess in this office is down to us not paying a cleaner, or it's down to my kids who came in earlier and made a mess. You know, so it could be in that kind of sense. They're the cause. They're responsible for that mess.
Yeah. I've thought of another use of "it's up to you" when you're playing a game, like if you're playing cards or chess or Monopoly or some board game. So it's up to you means it's your move. It's your whose turn is it? Who's going to play next? Right. It's up to you. Is it up to me? No, it's up to you. Possibly.
Maybe.
Yeah. Let's look at some of the comments that we've got coming in. It's Isma. I don't bother about the weather. I'm heading out anyway. I don't care about the weather.
Yeah.
The weather doesn't bother me. Sounds better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, maybe I'm not bothered about the weather.
Yes.
You know, could be.
Much better. Hi, Eduardo. Good to see you again. Sorry for bothering you. It's okay. Is it the same as "I don't feel like"?
Like the can't be bothered.
Yeah, I can't be bothered. Yeah, it can be.
It can be. Yeah. But it may sound like, it often kind of feels like you're just too lazy to do it. So it depends on the circumstances. You know, why don't you pick up your clothes after you? You're talking to your children, and I can't be bothered. It can sound like, you know.
Yeah, it is very connected to laziness. And Isma's asking, does it mean I don't care? Well, again, it's connected more to laziness, and you just if you are, I know there are lots of Spanish speakers watching. Que no tengo ganas, like that would be the very similar in Spanish. Oh, we've had that before. Hi, Erasmo, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, it can, as we said before, Christine, it can be, but again, try to connect it to laziness, and I think it will be more effective when you use it. Yeah, I should wash the car, but I can't be bothered. But yeah, I don't feel like doing it. So yeah, in some situations, it's interchangeable. Okay, now let's go back to. It's up to me now. Now, things that wind you up. Now, I don't know if you remember when you had those watches years ago that you used to wind up, or the clocks on the wall that you wound up with a key. But that idea of something becoming tense, some tension in there. And if something winds you up, it tends to annoy you. It tends to make you a little bit angry or upset. For example, when I see people here in Valencia throwing litter and rubbish on the street, it winds me up. I don't like it. It annoys me. And when I see the dogs doing their business on the pavement, well, I'll say it, shit, on the pavement, it winds me up. Why do they do it? It's annoying.
Don't get me started, Craig, on dogs.
Do you have the same problem in North London?
Yeah, people are quite good at picking up dog shit, I have to say. But what winds me up about dog owners, I'm a bit scared of dogs. I don't particularly like them. And if you're walking in the park, some dog owners, they just let their dog run free, and they kind of run up to you, and I'm kind of a bit scared. And the dog owner kind of says, "Oh, he's only being friendly." I don't care.
As he's humping your leg, yeah.
Yeah, it winds me up. Their attitude is kind of like, can't you see I don't like them? Can't you put them on the lead and control them?
I totally,
when they don't control their dogs, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, and because my wife is exactly the same. She gets very nervous around dogs, but I'm a dog lover, and I do love dogs. But I blame the owners when they let the dogs shit all over the place, and then I have to walk around constantly looking at the pavement so that I don't step in it, and it really winds me up.
Yeah, there is that thing as well. I don't know. Do you know people sometimes? Especially in families, they sometimes deliberately try to wind you up. They're trying to deliberately try to get a reaction. So, you know, sometimes if you get people who are talking to you, they're making jokes or they're telling a story because they know you will get annoyed by it. It's like, just ignore him. He's just trying to wind you up. He's just trying to annoy you.
Yeah. And of course, you can use it as a noun. It's a wind up. It's kind of a joke. I'm doing it on purpose. It's a wind up. I don't mean to upset you on purpose. Well, I do mean to upset you on purpose. That's why I'm winding you up. So what winds you up? If you're watching live, please put an example in the chat. Practice this vocabulary, especially if it's new to you, and write sentences with it, and we'll help you to get it as correct as possible. So what winds you up? Are you with us that dogs wind you up, or maybe cats wind you up?
I think it's the dog owners that wind you up myself.
Yeah. It's the dog owners that wind me up. What else winds me up? I'm trying to think. When people think that teachers have an easy life, that winds me up. Oh, you teachers, you're always on holiday. You don't do a full day's work. Anybody could do your job. That winds me up.
Yes.
Although they might be right. Oh, I know what winds me up. Invoicing, tax returns, administration, doing
Ah,
registers, all the paperwork that's attached to
yes,
teaching really winds me up.
yes. I was doing. I got a request from the bank asking me to prove that I am that the company is the company that we are, despite the fact we bank with it's Santander, in fact. And I spent a whole morning trying to fill in this form, and then I tried to upload the documents on the website. Didn't work. Oh, the whole thing, yes, wound me up completely. I got into a state. I was
I've had the same thing a few years ago. Yeah, to the banks want
tearing
you
my
now.
hair out.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
shouting at the screen. I had to go out for a bit.
But banks wind me up in general, so I totally understand
Yeah.
that. Going back to a previous expression, Christine says, "I can't be bothered." Oh no, sorry. This is Nancy. I can't be bothered. You need the infinitive there, Nancy, if you have a verb. So I can't be bothered to clean the house today. I can't be bothered with ed to clean the house today. So use the infinitive after bother when you're using a verb. I can't be bothered to wash the car. I can't be bothered to do my taxes. I can't be bothered to do the shopping. I can't be bothered to do all the paperwork for the bank, etc. Example from Maxine: it winds me up when people speak on the phone loudly in public. Yeah, that winds me up,
Yes.
especially on public transport.
Good example, that one. Yeah. Well, I think actually the speaking. What really winds me up is people watching videos or listening to like YouTube videos. I say, "Oh, haven't you heard of?"
10 euros. Go to a Chinese shop and buy some earphones for 10 euros. That winds me up. Good example, Maxim. Eduardo has a good one too. Long audio messages on WhatsApp wind me up. Oh, I tell you what winds me up on WhatsApp, Eduardo. I have a couple of friends who refuse to write paragraphs on WhatsApp. So they'll send 10 sentences separately and it goes bing, 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 instead of just writing one paragraph. That winds me up.
Yeah. Yes, I would say that does to me as well.
Gemma, what winds you up, Gemma? It winds me up. Noisy people on the street. Yeah, that winds me up too. Yeah. Noisy people. Yep, she's corrected herself. Well done, Gemma. What does Isma say? I was taking my son to the nursery and in the blink of an eye, nice expression, in the blink of an eye, the dog was here. Fortunately, he was on a lead, but it really wound me up. Let me put that in the chat. It's wound is the past. So it wound me up. As the owner simply said, "Oh, he's just playing." Yeah, exactly. That's very annoying. Okay, we know what winds you up. Let's go to the next one.
Kind of linked, I guess. Yeah. Take the mickey. I chose this one because we had a discussion about it in amongst our writing. It was in the book as an idiom, and there was a question about how common it is these days. Now, we agreed that actually take the piss is much more common. So for most of us, I mean, some people think piss is rude, it's swearing. So if you want a more polite version, you can say take the mickey. But personally, I would always say take the piss. And it means that part of it is just means that you're making fun of someone. So for example, my friends often take the mickey out of me or take the piss out of me for my forgetfulness. I am very well known for leaving bags behind, leaving my coat, leaving my phone, losing things. I'm very forgetful. And they often make comments about this, taking the piss. Okay. It's like sometimes we talk about banter at work where people are laughing at each other for different things. They take the piss out of each other. It's not a kind of necessarily a bad thing. It's making fun of each other in a gentle way.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're going to say
No, just you could say, are you wearing that shirt for a bet? Is someone giving you money to wear that shirt? Are you wearing it for a bet? Because then you're winding the person up and you're taking the piss. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So they're making a joke about the kind of clothes you wear. In more recently, you could also see it in the sense of kind of, it's unbelievable. I can't believe it. So here in the UK, there's been a lot of stories about politics, about our Prime Minister Boris Johnson having lots of parties in Downing Street.
That's the first time I've heard of.
Yeah, during the COVID pandemic, when all the rules said you couldn't, and he keeps on saying, "Oh, I didn't know anything about it," and most people's reaction is, "Are you taking the piss? It can't be true. It's just ridiculous. They're just taking the mickey. They're doing this to wind us up in a way."
Exactly.
Yeah, and
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Maybe also sometimes you're like, I went to a bar the other day, and they were asking for, it cost £8 for a pint of beer.
£8? They're taking the piss, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. It's like they're having a laugh, we might say as well.
A funny story about taking the piss, because I do agree with you that it's a lot more common in conversation English than taking the mickey, but my wife's Spanish, and 2 or 3 years after we'd been together, she was taking an English class at the British Council where we worked, and not with me, with another teacher. And the teacher at the end of the lesson gave the homework, and he really gave a lot of homework. And in front of the class, she said to him, "You're taking the piss, aren't you?" You're taking the piss, because she'd heard me say it.
Yes.
But obviously, in that context, it wasn't
better
exactly...
to say you're taking the mickey.
Better to say you're taking the mickey. So maybe in a job interview, in a formal situation, if your relationship is not very casual and very close with the person you're speaking to, just notice that, yeah, it could be a bit strong, depending on the situation.
Exactly, yeah. So this is why we had to take the mickey in the book. So you see, because we're slightly more polite in our book writing.
Well, I'd imagine as a course book writer, just to go off track for a minute, you'd probably be fairly limited if your course book is selling internationally, because there must be some countries, I'm thinking Middle East maybe, who have stricter controls around language. Is that right?
Yeah. Some things are a bit more restricted, but we also kind of there's a thinking about people using English with other people who don't speak, whose English is not their first language. So kind of you're talking between Spanish person to a German person, and you may be speaking English together. So maybe sometimes also having lots of very colloquial things, maybe we don't include those as well. It's not just about being rude or not.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, moving on. My next one is I'm not a fan of, which is also fairly common, and it just means I don't really like. Yeah, I don't really like it, but not many students of English as a second language would use that necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, I'm not a fan of pineapple on pizza. I don't know if you are, Andrew. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it very much.
Most definitely not. No, definitely not a fan of pineapple. Not a big fan of any fruit on pizza, to be honest. Although pear with gorgonzola was a popular one in a local pizzeria that I went to.
Oh no, I don't know. I can't.
No, I'm not. I had it once. I'm not a big fan of it.
No. Notice that Andrew used big there in the middle. He could also say huge. I'm not a huge fan of. I'm not a big fan of. You're moderating the expression there with some adjectives. While I'm giving you some more examples, why not write some examples of your own in the chat? What food are you not a fan of? Or maybe you are a fan of, or maybe not a big fan of. Write some examples in the chat while we're speaking. I'm not a big fan of shellfish, seafood. That doesn't make me very popular here in Valencia because seafood paella is very popular. It's a big thing. But when we go out with friends, I don't usually. I'm not a big fan of seafood.
I quite like seafood, but I have to say I'm not a big fan of seafood paella. I think there's something about, it's a bit messy eating it, and it's quite heavy.
Yeah. I much prefer. I'm quite a big fan of chicken paella with not the snails so much, but chicken and beans. Yeah. How do you stand on Marmite? Which means, how do you feel about Marmite? That's very divisive, isn't it?
Not a fan.
Me neither. I'm not a fan of Marmite at all.
Sometimes, occasionally, I mean, I don't have any. I cook quite a lot, but I don't have any Marmite in my cupboard. I might put it in a stew or something like that. But
in a stew,
I have been known to put
when there's nothing else in the cupboard.
Well, adds a bit of umami taste, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Christine says something's not my thing. Yeah, exactly. It's not my thing. It's not my scene, man. That's very 70s. It's not my thing, man.
I don't know. Well, maybe I'm a child of the 70s, Craig. It's not my kind of thing. Maybe that kind of thing.
Not my kind of thing. Yeah. Nancy says I'm not a big fan of cold weather. Oh, I am, Nancy. I'm not a big fan of hot weather. I suffer here in August and July, and it's getting very hot now. So I'm not a big fan, because if it gets really hot, Nancy, there's a limit to the amount of clothes you can take off. But if it's cold, you can always wear more clothes. Or put a blanket over you, so you can always dress up and dress warm. And Eduardo's asking a question about tongue-in-cheek. No, she's Spanish, Eduardo. So when I met my wife, she didn't really speak English very well. So that's why she was taking English lessons, because she wanted to learn English. Yeah. Not a fan of football matches. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good sentence. Well done. Next one.
Better than nothing. Better than a kick in the teeth.
Better than a kick in the teeth. We were using this before we went live, weren't we?
Yes. What were we talking about there?
Oh, when I left the British Council, they paid me some money. When I and regular viewers know this, I got the sack last September from my job because, as a result of COVID,
made redundant. I think would be better.
Got the old Spanish archer, the elbow. But a lot of students probably wouldn't pick that up. But yeah, I did leave my job and I got some money, but it wasn't a lot of money, but it was better than nothing. It was better than a kick in the teeth. I got a small amount of money for my 24 years of service.
Yeah, exactly. My wins on the lottery. I think the most I had was £10.
Well,
better than a kick in the teeth.
Better than nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, it's that's it. Sometimes you kind of, it's a low bar, it has to be said. Better than a kick in the teeth. I mean, anything could be pretty much better than a kick in the teeth. It has to be said. The other one sometimes I hear or say is better than a poke in the eye with sometimes a poke in the eye with a blunt stick.
Yep. I think that's an old Monty Python reference, isn't it?
Right. Is that where it comes from?
I think so. Yeah.
Right.
I think so.
Yeah. So and I suppose it's kind of like That's it. I think we've covered it, really.
Yep, I think we've covered it. So again, write your examples in the chat, and we'll help you if we can. What's Eduardo saying now? I mean, having an English teacher husband. Oh, yeah. Although, interestingly, Eduardo, just between us two, don't tell anyone, but I've tried teaching her many times.
Never teach a partner languages.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. We argue when we try to have lessons. So not the best idea. Yeah. Maxim, better than nothing. Beggars can't be choosers. Not really.
Yeah, not really. No, because it's it's a bit more positive in a way than that. It's kind of saying, it's something. It's something. So I'm kind of, somebody's moaning. Oh, I didn't get very much. I didn't get much money from my job. You say, oh, well, it's better than nothing. I spent quite a few during lockdowns. We kind of created these new online courses. I spent lots of time on it. Spent all this time. At the end of it, I got about 10 students. Bit disappointing, all that effort. But then, better than nothing. Better than a kick in the teeth, Some people liked it. Some people wanted to go it. Whereas beggars can't be choosers is more like, the kind of thing. Take this job because if you don't, you won't get any money. So I suppose it's more that it suggests there's a kind of you're being forced into something. So I suppose, you could say sometimes again it's a crossover. Better than nothing, but it sounds more like a forced thing. Beggars can't be choosers.
Yep. Yes, I know, Eduardo. I know your sense of humor, so I knew that was very tongue in cheek. Yeah. So moving on, we've only got one or two left, and now because these are 10 expressions that we like, I really like this because I think it's a wonderful way to deflect a personal question. Why do you ask? Now, if I said to you, Andrew, how much money do you earn? You might say,
I don't know. Why do you ask?
Exactly. So that's throwing it back to me because really Andrew doesn't want to answer. So then I have to defend my question and justify why I'm asking him how much money he earns. Or if I asked you, how much do you weigh, Andrew?
About 70 kilos. Why do you ask?
Now ask me the same question.
I don't know. How much do you weigh?
Why do you ask? I don't know. There's no way I'm going to tell you after you've said 70 kilos.
If maybe you were heavier than me.
A lot heavier. I put on a lot of weight during lockdown, so I'm quite sensitive about my weight. So if someone did ask me how much I weighed, I probably would have a different reaction to Andrew. Andrew, who keeps in shape. I know you play football. So I would probably say, why do you ask? Because I want to throw that question out because it's quite a personal question, in my opinion. Who did you vote for in the last election? Well, why do you ask?
Yeah. I mean, so, I think people will sometimes use both. I mean, I would kind of go, I might kind of say an answer or a limited answer, and then find out, what the purpose of this. It is.
Where are you going with this? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But that is also quite a good way to keep a conversation going as well, I think, in these.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. That definitely struck a chord with me.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Why did I choose this? I suppose it came up in a few times in the classes that we've been doing online this last year. And sometimes what we do is we have a theme around a particular topic, and we send some we send a link to various TED Talks connected to this theme, and we ask people to watch one or two and then exchange what they learned about it. And quite often, when you're watching these, it maybe strikes a chord with you. It makes, when you see something, it means something to you. You feel that is quite true. So, I mean, a very famous, I don't know if anybody's seen there's a TED Talk on creativity in education.
Robinson,
exactly. Ken Robinson. And, he talks about this child who's struggling at school and they can't find a way in the classroom, always getting into trouble because they're fidgeting and moving and kind of, can't sit still. And they go to the headmaster and they talk to him. And I think the headmaster kind of, I think maybe the headmaster suggests that she might be interested in dancing, and then she becomes a ballet dancer or something like this. And I think for a lot of people, it struck a chord that, a lot of people will have that experience of being at school and not quite fitting in and, needing some other route, and that school not always providing that support, when they're in the way that they are. So, that might strike a chord. So, yeah. And if you're watching a film, perhaps, a film might strike a chord. It makes you think of your own, or a book that you're reading, might strike a chord. It helps you think about life. I saw a film yesterday called Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's a very strange film in lots of ways, kind of like a science fiction film. But the end of the story was about people kind of basically feeling frustrated in their lives and having difficulties and they didn't realizing at the end that what's more important is just their family, enjoying the moments that they're in, and that struck a chord with me.
Actually, when we started this stream, and I said that you and Hugh both tend to focus a lot on the lexical approach to teaching rather than the grammatical approach. That strikes a chord with me, because ever since I read Michael Lewis's lexical approach, that's the way that my teaching has kind of developed over the years. So that definitely struck a chord with me.
Yeah, well, obviously, when I read that the book, I was just starting I'd been teaching a couple of years. I read the book, and it's suddenly realized, there's lots of things that I've been thinking about. There's lots of things that I've sound sensible to me. It struck a chord with me.
And that chord there, obviously the CH is a K. It's a hard K sound, like a K. Yeah. But is that like a piano chord or a musical chord?
Yeah, so it's like if you're playing a guitar chord. A chord would be the sound where you've got several things. They sound good. And actually, sometimes we say it resonated, which is a similar idea, that the sound vibrates and sounds good, or it chimed with me like a bell. So it's kind of, it's that sound is a nice sound. It creates a nice sound. So it kind of matches.
Maxim, Max, going back to the last one, why do you ask? You could just say why. If someone asks you a question, say why, or why do you ask? Both would have a similar effect of deflecting the question, or just satisfying your curiosity.
Yeah.
Now, moving on, we've got one more each. Do me a favor. Notice that the verb there is do. Sometimes I hear some students say make. It's not make. That's not a common collocation. Do is much more common. Do me a favor, which means can you do something for me? Can you do me a favor and make me a cup of tea, for example? Or would you mind doing me a favor and taking me to the airport?
Wow.
Speaking Speaking of that, obviously, do me a favor means can you do this thing for me? But it can also be used in response to a stupid or ridiculous suggestion. And I remember my dear brother-in-law, who's no longer with us, he passed away, but I did ask him once to give me a lift to the airport. I said, can you give me a lift to the airport, Terry? And he said, oh, do me a favor. It's a 6 o'clock flight. I'm not getting up that early.
Yeah.
Leave it out, he said. Do me a favor. So that was his response.
Yeah, I was thinking like the wind up, or the taking the piss. It's like, do me a favor. It's like, I don't believe you.
So it can be used in an almost sarcastic way as a response to a stupid or a ridiculous suggestion. Do me a favor. But yeah, it's very common to ask for a favor with do me a favor. Can you do me a favor? Or would you mind doing me a favor?
Yeah, it's often, especially as kind of like, it's just to soften the person. Could you just do me a favor? And then kind of you ask whatever it is.
Yes, you can, Christine. What would you like us to do for you? What favor would you like? Of course you can ask a favor. It all boils down to intonation. That's a nice expression. It boils down to. It all boils down to intonation. It often does, Eduardo, as we spoke about last week with Lynn. Intonation's very important, and we'll be doing some more streams about intonation because I got some nice feedback that you enjoyed that. We have one more, and then we're off to have dinner. So, la-di-da, what's that?
I chose this because sometimes we do courses. We do a summer school. Hopefully next year we will do another summer school. And one of the courses that we do is advanced language and culture. So it's kind of talking about modern British culture and language connected with it and connected with the themes and stuff. And la-di-da is kind of like, comes up in the sense of England is a very class-based country. So everybody's aware of who's kind of posh, upper class, lower class, middle class, where they've been. And this expression kind of is whenever somebody said something or is doing something which sounds a bit posh. Oh, we went to Paris for the weekend. We stayed in the Ritz. Ooh, la-di-da would be the person who would reply because it's seen as being a bit posh. And if somebody could be, if they kind of, you talking about somebody, they've got quite a posh accent. She's quite la-di-da. You could use it as an adjective. She's got a kind of, she's a bit la-di-da. Well, he's a bit la-di-da. It's not, in a way, that common. I mean, I do use it. I don't know if you ever used it, but it's more that it's that little kind of bit of English culture as much as anything.
True, but I've just found something on YouTube that I'll put in the chat. And when I saw that you had put this as one of your expressions, it took me back to a Woody Allen film, Annie Hall.
Oh, right. Yeah. I saw American English as well. Yeah.
So yeah, I've just put that in the chat. Just a very short clip on YouTube of Annie Hall. La-di-da, la-di-da. What Christine says, kind of bombastic.
Yeah, but it's to do with being posh. I mean, so bombastic could be, I don't know, sounds to me, isn't it, like more kind of like over the top in your, talking about how good you've done something, isn't it a bit more kind of bombastic, a bit more arrogant? I'm not absolutely sure, to be honest.
When we first connected and I was catching up with Andrew and you said, oh yeah, I'm living in a flat in North London. I thought, oh, la-di-da, a flat in North London. How posh.
You haven't seen my road.
Anyway, I think we'll leave it. Hampstead, yeah. Just very quickly to remind you, we had I Can't Be Bothered when you're feeling a bit lazy. It's up to you. So I don't mind. You decide what winds you up, what annoys you, to take the mickey or to take the piss out of someone. I'm not a big fan of, or I'm not a fan of, or I am a fan of something means I like or I don't like. Yeah, well, it's better than nothing. It's better than a kick in the teeth. Why do you ask? And it struck a chord with me. It resonated with me. Hey, do me a favor, will you? Do this for me. And la-di-da. So we hope you've found that interesting. We'll just remind you how you can get in touch with us before we go. I'm from mansioningles.com. If this is the first time watching, you can study English for free on that website. And we also have some courses for sale. And you're more than welcome to listen to our podcast every Sunday at inglespodcast.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts, including Spotify. Andrew.
Yeah, so you can see us on lexicallab.com. You can book through the website for any of these speaking classes that we do. They're at various times. It's basically the same. All the classes do the same material. So everybody's talking about the same topic, same things. Obviously, when the teacher listens to you, if you're struggling to say something, they help you with what you're trying to say rather than having a particular fixed syllabus. And you can see we sometimes have videos of chunks of the day like this, little phrases. You can find that on the website and also on Instagram.
Instagram.com/lexical_. That little line at the bottom is called an underscore. Lab, if you are on Instagram, please follow them and you'll find some very interesting material to help you improve your English. Andrew, thanks a lot. It's been great to catch up. Thanks for keeping us company and sharing your knowledge. And I hope we'll see you again very soon.
Yeah, you too. All right. Bye now.
Thanks for watching, everyone. See you again soon. Have a good week.